You believe your high income makes you wealthy. You think a master's degree, a prestigious job title, and a six-figure salary guarantee your financial freedom. You are completely wrong. In the real world, intelligence has almost zero correlation with financial survival. Every day, brilliant doctors, elite lawyers, and tech executives go bankrupt, while humble janitors quietly build multi-million-dollar fortunes. The financial industry wants you to believe that wealth is a complex mathematical equation that requires an advanced degree to solve. They sell you sophisticated algorithms, complicated trading strategies, and expensive advisory fees. But the brutal truth is that managing money is not a math problem. It is a behavioral problem. You are not failing because you lack intelligence. You are failing because your psychological wiring is actively sabotaging your bank account. In the next few minutes, we're going to completely dismantle the illusions you have been fed about money. We will break down why your desperate need for social status is keeping you trapped in a cycle of invisible poverty. We will expose the paradox of the luxury car, the biological trap of moving the goalpost, and the fundamental difference between getting rich and actually staying rich. Write this down now. Financial success is not a hard science. It is a soft skill. By the end of this protocol, you will understand exactly why your ego is the most expensive liability you own, and how to engineer a psychological framework that buys the ultimate human currency. Let us break the illusion. To understand the grand deception, you must first look at the extremes of human behavior. Consider the true story of two men. The first was a highly educated, wildly successful executive at Merrill Lynch. He had an MBA, an elite network, and lived in an 18,000 square foot mansion. He was the definition of intelligence and high income. The second man was a janitor and a gas station attendant. He never went to college. He swept floors for decades. When the financial crisis hit in 2008, the brilliant executive lost everything and was forced into bankruptcy. But when the humble janitor died a few years later, the world discovered he had quietly amassed a net worth of $8 million. How does a man who sweeps floors financially obliterate an elite investment banker? Because the executive treated money as a tool to display his status, while the janitor treated money as a mechanism for compounding. The executive possessed extreme financial intelligence, but lacked emotional resilience. The janitor had zero financial training, but possessed absolute behavioral control. The modern educational system trains you to increase your cognitive intelligence to earn a higher salary, but it completely ignores your behavioral intelligence. It never teaches you how to control your ego, how to suppress your impulses, or how to ignore the social pressure to spend what you earn. If your behavior is broken, your intelligence is useless. You are simply building a massive engine on a fragile foundation. The system relies on your ego. A debt-free, content citizen is useless to the consumer economy. This leads us directly into the most uncomfortable reality of wealth, the concepts of luck and risk. The human ego is a highly flawed narrator. When you succeed, you attribute 100% of that success to your own brilliance, your early mornings, and your relentless hard work. But when you fail, you blame the economy, your boss, or a sudden market crash. You blame bad luck. This cognitive blind spot is incredibly dangerous. The truth is that luck and risk are siblings. They are the exact same mechanism operating in opposite directions. Every single financial outcome in life is influenced by forces entirely outside of your control. You must realize that success is never as good as it seems, and failure is never as bad as it feels. Consider the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet. For every billionaire who dropped out of college to start a tech company and succeeded, there are thousands of incredibly intelligent, hardworking individuals who took the exact same risk and went completely bankrupt. The system only shows you the survivors. It makes you believe that extreme financial success is purely a formula of effort. But if you try to replicate the extreme risk-taking of billionaires, assuming you have full control over the variables, you will likely destroy yourself. You cannot copy luck. You must approach wealth with profound humility. You must build resilient financial systems that account for uncertainty. You do not invest to get rich by tomorrow. You invest to ensure you can survive the worst-case scenario today, so you can stay in the game long enough for compounding luck to eventually turn in your favor. You must realize that getting rich and staying rich are two completely different games. This is the psychological failure point for almost every high-income earner. Getting money requires a very specific set of behaviors. It requires extreme optimism. It requires taking aggressive risks. It requires you to step out of your comfort zone, challenge the status quo, and relentlessly pursue growth. But the moment you acquire that wealth, the rules of the game instantly flip. The skills that made you rich are the exact same skills that will make you poor if you keep using them. Staying rich does not require risk. It requires paranoia. It requires an intense, constant fear that everything you have built could be taken away. It requires frugality and immense psychological discipline. Look at the stories of elite athletes like Mike Tyson or sudden lottery winners. They acquire massive amounts of capital overnight, but their psychology never shifts from acquisition mode to preservation mode. They keep taking wild risks. They buy fleets of depreciating supercars. They operate with reckless optimism, and within 5 years, they are entirely bankrupt. Wealth preservation is a defensive game. It means knowing when to stop swinging for the fences. Compare this to Warren Buffett's long-term steady approach. His strategy emphasizes compounding through consistency, not flashiness. It means understanding that a solid, boring return that compounds silently over 20 years is infinitely more powerful than risking it all for a massive return that might wipe out your capital. You must shift your identity from the aggressive conqueror to the silent guardian. But the system actively fights against this transition because it profits from your desire for status. This leads us to the illusion of invisible wealth. Modern society has conditioned your brain to measure wealth by what you can physically see. When you drive down the street and see a man in a $100,000 Porsche, your brain immediately registers him as wealthy. But you do not have access to his bank account. The only objective, mathematical truth you know about that man is that he now has $100,000 less than he did before he bought the car. Or worse, he has a massive monthly loan payment extracting his future labor. This is the man in the car paradox. When you look at that car, you never look at the driver and think, wow, I respect him. Instead, you project yourself into the driver's seat. You think, if I had that car, people would respect me. You are buying luxury items because you want admiration from others. But the brutal irony is that nobody is admiring you. They are admiring the object. When you spend money to show people how much money you have, you are literally choosing to have less money. True wealth is completely invisible. Wealth is the money not spent. Wealth is the luxury car not purchased. Wealth is the options not surrendered. The modern consumer is trapped in a status game. Many people earning $200,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck because they confuse income with wealth. Income is the water flowing from the faucet. Wealth is the water collected in the bucket. If your expenses rise perfectly in tandem with your income through lifestyle inflation, your bucket is completely empty. You are rich on paper, but entirely broke in reality. To build true generational wealth, you must completely detach your ego from your spending habits. This requires you to defeat the most insidious psychological trap of the 21st century, the moving goalpost. As human beings, we are biologically wired for social comparison. We evaluate our success not by absolute numbers, but by looking at our neighbors, our peers, and our competitors. This creates the trap of never enough. When you are earning $50,000 a year, you convince yourself that making $100,000 will solve all your problems. You hit the six-figure mark. For about 2 months, you feel incredible. But then, hedonic adaptation kicks in. You move to a nicer neighborhood. You start associating with people who make $200,000. Suddenly, your $100,000 feels inadequate. The goalpost moves. It is a psychological treadmill with no exit. The endless pursuit of more is the fastest path to financial and biological ruin. The system relies on you feeling permanently inadequate. It needs you to keep raising your lifestyle expectations, so you remain chained to your job, terrified of losing your income. The only way to win this game is to aggressively define your own version of enough. You must mathematically determine the exact amount of capital required to fund your ideal life, and refuse to let society push that number higher. Knowing when you have enough is the ultimate superpower. It allows you to step off the treadmill. It allows you to take risks. It allows you to sleep peacefully while your peers are suffering from chronic stress. Ultimately, this brings us to the core purpose of capital. Why do we save money at all? Most people save money to buy a specific object. They save for a down payment on a house, or a vacation, or a new piece of technology. This is a fragile mindset. You should not save money just to buy material things. You should save money to buy the most valuable, non-renewable asset in the universe: time. Time freedom is the highest form of financial success, over possessions or even early retirement. When you hold significant liquid savings, you are not just holding numbers in a bank account. You are holding options. You are holding financial ammunition. If you have zero savings and you lose your job, you are in an absolute panic. You are forced to take the very first job offer that comes your way, regardless of how toxic the environment is. You are a slave to circumstance. But if you have 2 years of living expenses saved, your psychology completely changes. If your boss is abusive, you can walk away. If a brilliant investment opportunity appears, you have the capital ready to deploy instantly. Your savings buy you the power to say no. They buy you the autonomy to wake up every single morning and dictate exactly how your life will unfold. Money's greatest intrinsic value is its ability to give you control over your time. The financial industry wants you confused. They want you over-leveraged in consumer debt, constantly upgrading your lifestyle, and fully dependent on your next paycheck. You must break the cycle today. Look at your financial behavior. Are you playing the game to impress others? Or are you playing the game to buy your freedom? True wealth is a quiet, long-term game focused on survival, humility, and time freedom. Stop operating like a frantic consumer and start structuring your psychology like a generational institution. Define your enough. Master your behavior. Hoard your freedom. If you want to understand the exact cognitive frameworks that keep the elite rich and the masses poor, subscribe to the channel. Study the behavior. Master the game. See you in the next protocol.